Welcome to Chemitutorial channel. Today we are going to discuss the topic mixtures and true solutions. So first of all, I would like to tell you the main types of substances. Substances can be categorized under two categories main. One is the pure substances and the other category of substances is mixtures. So first of all, let me tell you what are pure substances. In general, in our daily life, when we talk about the pure substances, we say that a substance which is not containing any kind of adulteration is a pure substance. But in chemistry, pure substance is that substance which is made up of single type of particles, or in other words, you can say a substance which is made up of all similar particles is a pure substance. So that means under the category of pure substances, further we can subcategorize it into two types of substances, that is elements and compounds. So in case of elements, elements may be made up of atoms or they may be made up of molecules, but all the constituent particles of element are similar. For example, we are talking about the element oxygen. Oxygen is an element. Or we are talking about the element iron. Iron is made up of all similar particles and its constituent particle is iron atom, that is Fe atom. But if we talk about oxygen gas, it is an element. It is made up of all similar particles and the constituent particle for oxygen gas is O2. So these come under the category of elements. Now what about the compounds? Compounds are those pure substances which are made up of all similar particles and its constituent particle is a molecule, which is, for example, water. Its constituent particle is H2O. The constituent particle is similar throughout the water. It is considered to be a pure substance. So what I mean to say is that pure substances mainly further are of two types, elements and compounds. But in this chapter, we will do the mixtures in the elaborated form. So this was just the base to start the topic. But now in detail, what we have to study here in detail is mixtures. We will talk about mixtures. So mainly the mixtures, they are of two types. One is homogeneous mixtures and the second type is heterogeneous mixtures. So what are homogeneous mixtures and what are heterogeneous mixtures? Homogeneous mixtures are those mixtures in which the composition of the mixture is same throughout the mixture. For example, we prepare a mixture by dissolving sugar in water. Now you see that when we dissolve sugar in water, sugar particles are not visible in the mixture. We have prepared a sugar solution. We cannot see the sugar particles or water particles in the mixture. It seems to be same, composition seems to our eye, it seems to be same. And also, chemically also, the composition is same throughout the mixture. The water molecules and the sugar molecules, they are evenly distributed. You can taste it from the bottom or from the top. The sweetness will be same, showing that its composition is same throughout. So such type of mixtures are called homogeneous. We cannot see the 2 or 3 particles from which it is made up of. Mixture, say sugar solution is made up of 2 types of particles. It is not made up of single type of particles. It's not a pure substance. So it is made up of 2 types of particles, that is sugar and water. But the 2 types of particles are not visible to us with distinct boundaries. But in case of heterogeneous mixture, we can see the particles. There is a distinct boundary of separation between the 2 types of particles. For example, when we dissolve sand in water, we can see the sand particles clearly in water. So there is a boundary of separation, and we also know that its composition is not same throughout. When we put sand in water, we know that sand being heavier settles down at the bottom of the beaker and when it settles down, we can say that sand is more at the bottom and at the top sand particles are less in number. So water particles are more at the top, at the bottom sand particles are more. The composition throughout is not same. So it's a heterogeneous mixture. We can take many more examples in daily life, like oil in water. Oil stays at the top, water is at the bottom. The composition is not same throughout, and also there is a boundary of distinction between oil and water. So oil in water is also a heterogeneous mixture. Similarly, you can take the example of sand and sugar mixture. You can see the sugar crystals separately within the sand particles. So there is distinct boundaries of separation between the sugar and sand also. It also can be categorized under the heterogeneous mixtures. Now we will discuss the main types that come under the homogeneous and heterogeneous mixtures. Under the category of homogeneous mixtures, two solutions come, and under the category of heterogeneous mixture, further two types of mixtures, colloidals, or you can see colloids, and suspensions are considered. So on the whole, we can say that the mixtures, they are of three types: true solutions, colloids, suspensions 1, 2 and 3. True solutions are homogeneous, colloids and suspensions are heterogeneous. So we will discuss all these three one by one, and in this video I would like to discuss mainly the true solutions. So there are a number of examples of the true solutions. Let me tell you first what is a true solution. A true solution is a homogeneous mixture of two or more substances. Substances may be in the solid form, may be in the liquid form, may be in the gaseous form also. It does not, every time solution does not mean a liquid mixture. It may be a solid in solid mixture or a gas mixed in gas. Gas mixed in gas is also considered a mixture. When solid is mixed in another solid to give the same composition throughout, it is also a mixture. So in daily life you might have seen brass articles. What is brass? Actually brass is mixture of copper and zinc. It is actually 30% zinc and 70% copper. So brass is a true solution of solid in solid type. It's a true solution. So there are many more examples of the true solutions in our daily life. We can take the example of sugar solution, salt solution, in which it will be a mixture of solid in liquid. You know that sugar is solid, salt is also solid. When it is dissolved in water, it becomes a true solution, and the type will be solid in liquid type. Sugar in water is true solution example. This is solid, this is liquid. So this is example of solid dissolved in liquid. Tincture of iodine. Tincture of iodine that we apply for the wounds, cuts. It's a medicine. So in which iodine is dissolved in alcohol. You know that iodine is solid and it is dissolved in alcohol, which is a liquid. So it will be example of solid in liquid again. Then salt. Salt in water again is example of solid in liquid. Then another example that we can take is liquid in liquid type. Lemonade. What is lemonade? Lemonade is mixture of lime juice and water. So lime juice is liquid. Water is also a liquid. So it will be example of true solution in which liquid is dissolved in liquid. So gases in gas type of true solutions are also there, like air. You know that in air, nitrogen is the major component, oxygen is 21% only, nitrogen is 78%. You can say oxygen is dissolved in nitrogen. So gas in gas. So gas in gas type mixture, again it will be a true solution. So gas in gas type, air is example of gas in gas type true solution. So it's not only that solutions, true solutions are always existing in the liquid state. True solution may be solid type, true solution may be a liquid type, it may be a gas type. Air is a true solution, but it is gaseous, in the gaseous form. Brass is also a true solution, but it is a solid true solution. Similarly, there are liquid true solutions also, like these salt in water, but it exists in the liquid form, and lemonade, it is also a liquid form of true solutions. So now we will discuss the components of a true solution. The components of true solution, main two components of true solution are there, that is solute and solvent. Solvent and solute. So when we prepare the true solution, we take one component in the large amount and the other is taken in small amount. For example, dissolving sugar in water, we take say 1 spoon of sugar, dissolve it in a glass full of water. So here in the true solution, sugar solution, the major component is, or the component which is present in large amount, that is water. Water is solvent, sugar has been dissolved in small amount, sugar will be here solute. So in a mixture of, or in a true solution of, sugar, the solute is sugar and the solvent is water. So there are many more examples you can take in daily life, and you can come to know which one is solvent, which one is solute. Solute is always present in small amount. Now, how to determine the concentration of a solution? So let us talk about how can we come to know about the concentration of a solution. Concentration means knowing the amount of solute present in total amount of the solution. So concentration of solution can be measured in two terms, either by mass method, or it may be mass by volume method. So first we will write concentration of solution by mass percentage method, and the second is mass by volume percentage method. So in case of mass by mass percentage method, it is mass of solute present in total mass of the solution, and for calculating percentage multiply it by 100. Similarly, mass by volume percentage is that method in which we divide the mass of the solute by the total volume of the solution multiplied by 100. So these are two main methods by which we can calculate the concentration of a true solution. So we will do one numerical based upon the first method. Let us write the statement of it. Let's say 40 gram of sugar is dissolved in 320 gram of water. Say 40 gram of sugar is dissolved in 320 gram of water. Calculate its concentration by mass method. So you can see that in the statement the amount of sugar present is only 40 gram and the amount of water present is 320 gram. So you can know that water is present in large amount, water is solvent here, sugar is present only 40 gram, it is present in small amount, it is a solute here. So we will use this method, mass by mass method we are using. So in this method, mass by mass method, we will apply this formula. First one. So for this formula, we will put the values of the solute and solution here. First of all, we will write that the mass of solute is 40 gram and the solute is sugar here. Mass of, within bracket you can write sugar, mass of solvent, that is water, it is 320 grams. But in formula we also have to write the mass of solution, which is not given, that we can calculate by adding the mass of solute and solvent. So mass of solution is equal to mass of solute plus mass of solvent. So here the mass of the solute is 40 gram and mass of the solvent is 320 grams. So adding the two we get 360 grams. 360 grams is the mass of the solution. So now we will write the formula. Concentration or mass by mass method is equal to mass of solute upon mass of solution multiply by 100. So mass of the solute is 40, mass of the solution is 360, multiply by 100, solving we get 4 9s are 36, it is 100 by 9 and the answer on solving comes out to be 11.1%. So the concentration of solution is 11.1%. This is mass by mass method. So similar numericals you can also do the practice. Now we will discuss what is a saturated and what is unsaturated solution. The solution in which we add the solute, or you can say when we add small amount of solute to any solvent, it dissolves. We add more, it dissolves. We go on adding the amount of solute to the solvent, it goes on dissolving. But a limit comes when the solvent becomes saturated, its capacity is full, it can dissolve no more of solute into it, and at that level we call that the solution is now saturated, and that solution is called saturated. Means saturated solution we can define that solution which has no more capacity to dissolve solute in it or at a given temperature. So the condition is that keeping the temperature constant, when a given amount of solvent has no more capacity to dissolve more solute into it, is a saturated solution. But at the same temperature or keeping the temperature constant, if a solution shows some capacity, mean it has the capability to dissolve more solute into it, then we say that still it is unsaturated. So take the example of sugar solution. We add sugar into a glass of water, it dissolves, we add more, it dissolves, go on adding, a stage will come when sugar will not dissolve, it will start settling down at the bottom of the glass or beaker. We can say that the sugar solution is now saturated. But when we heat the saturated solution, what happens? In the previous chapter you have studied that on heating the kinetic energy of the particles increases. They move more faster. And I told you that when the heat is applied to a solution, the force of attraction is also broken. So same will happen here, force of attraction between the water molecules will break, more spaces will be created, and those spaces will be occupied by the more particles of sugar, means the sugar which is settled down at the bottom of the beaker or glass will now go into the solution on heating it. So that means now when we heat it, say we increase the temperature by 3-4 degrees, then we see that sugar dissolves, then we add more and more sugar, then again a limit will come at that temperature, that at that new temperature it will become saturated at some different value. So saturated solution, whenever we talk about the saturated solution, we have to mention the temperature, that at this much temperature the saturated solution contains this much gram of solute in this much gram of the solvent. And now we will discuss the main properties of the true solutions. What are the main properties of the true solutions? Now let us consider the properties of the true solutions. True solution is homogeneous, you know it. The first property, it's homogeneous, means the composition is same throughout. Number 2, its particles are very small. Particles are very small, small sized. The size is approximately less than 1 nanometer. 1 nanometer is 10 raised to power minus 9 meters. So such a small size is beyond the scope of our eye. We can't see the particles. In sugar solution you can see the sugar particles are there in the water, but we are unable to see it because the sugar particles, they are so small. A true solution is quite stable when left undisturbed. Its components do not separate out, right? Then come to the fourth point. A true solution, its components cannot be separated by using ordinary filter paper. Because the pores of the filter paper are bigger than the size of the particles of the true solution. So true solution particles, they easily pass through the filter paper, and the filter that we are getting, it contains both solute as well as solvent. It's not so that solute remains on above the filter paper and it's only the solvent particles coming out of the filter paper. It's not so. In true solution, when we try to filter it, both will come down. So we are not able to separate them. Then the fifth and last point is that particles don't scatter the beam of light. When beam of light is passed through the true solution, we are unable to see any scattering of the light by the particles. So this was all about the true solutions, and in the next video we will bring you new topics like colloids and suspensions. So you have watched the video, spared your precious time. Thank you for that. Subscribe our channel, share it, comment it, like it, and don't forget to press the bell icon. Thank you for watching our video.